We are live! This is Ride the Teacups, and today is our question and answer period. You asked your questions, here come the answers. Get ready, get set, here we go. Thanks so much for being here. My name's Steve. I'm with ridetheteacups.com. Earlier, we asked you to submit some questions to us on our social media channels. Many of you did. We want to get you the answers out here now. Thanks so much for joining us for this live edition of our question and answer. Let's get right into it. First, we want to make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel. We try to post these helpful tips, different community things, how to make your memories last much longer than usual. You want to be a part of that. We have a lot of fun with it, so subscribe and hit that little notification bell so that you can always be involved. So let's get right into it. You can also ask your questions at ridetheteacups@gmail.com or visit us on Facebook. First question that came in, Charlie is asking, where can I find those yummy Mickey Mouse ice cream bars? Well, right now you can find them in my fridge because I think they are amazing. Much like you, they're one of my favorite things to have in the park. But I suppose that's not what you're asking because you can't come over to my house today. So at the ice cream bars, they have them in some of the different shops around Disneyland. But I think the best place to find them is just in the kiosks. Most ice cream kiosks, I think just about all of them. I can't think of one that doesn't have it. All of the ice cream kiosks at Disneyland and California Adventure, for that matter, have those Mickey Mouse ice cream bars. Just the ice cream on a stick, shaped with the Mickey Mouse ears and head. They're one of my favorite things to eat. Thank you for bringing it up. It's noon. Now I'm hungry. Next question. When and where can we meet and greet the rare characters? Megan asked. That is a great question, Megan. Thanks so much for asking it. So Disneyland has a few rare characters that you can go off and meet. I've had some really good luck meeting a couple of them. There's still several that are out. Finding these online is a little difficult because Disneyland and Disney World are two very different animals when it comes to meeting characters. And what's a rare character in Disneyland may not be a rare character in Disney World, and vice versa. And they all hang out in different places. So a couple that come to mind, last time we were there, we got to meet Cruella de Vil. Right there in Main Street, USA. She was just right from the entrance off on the right corner, and you can meet her and do all of that type of stuff there. So you can also meet people like Mary Poppins and Bert. Sometimes they'll be off strolling along, but oftentimes you can actually find Bert specifically in front of the Coca-Cola Cafe, doing the piano and dancing and singing with Mary Poppins right there. I think if you're going to find that's going to be the most often, that's going to be a grammatically terrible sentence. That's probably where you find them most often if that's something that you're really looking for. Other characters, I am a big fan of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. You can actually meet Oswald in California Adventure. He's generally right by the entrance. Now here's the trick and why I'm calling him rare, even though he's there kind of often. He's generally listed on the card in the morning, but I often find him there in the afternoon. So make sure you check out for him at all different times of day when you're there. Oh, and the Evil Queen often can be found in Fantasyland like you'd normally expect, but you have to go all the way around the Alice in Wonderland area and find the restrooms that are hidden there around the corner. You bump into the Evil Queen. Her line gets really long really quick, so jump on that one. But hopefully that'll help you find some new ones and collect some new autographs that you didn't have before. Thank you, Megan. Let's go on and see what else we've got. Ravi asks, how do you make the trip magical again for a Disneyland veteran? That is a great question. One, I don't understand how anyone, veteran or not, can go to Disneyland and not be magical. If I'm going there for my 10,000th time in a row, it is going to be amazing, and I'm going to thoroughly enjoy myself. So I don't even understand that mindset. But I understand other people do, and so we'll go along with this one. So as far as a Disneyland veteran kind of getting I hate to use this term, but getting bored. Can you get bored in Disneyland? Getting bored with the trip and the routine. I imagine doing things like different challenges would actually help out with things like that. So, for example, I have seen the mountain challenge. Can you do how quickly can you do all of the Disneyland mountain rides back to back to back to back? And in what order are you going to do those mountain rides? So I've got to remember my mountains off the top of my head. So Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Splash Mountain, and Matterhorn, right there. How fast can you do those all in a row? And can you and your buddies actually beat each other's time? Other things that you can do as far as the challenges, let's see. You could always eat as much sugar and stuff that's really bad for you and see how many times you can go on roller coasters in a row before you see the food again. I think that's the way I'm going to phrase that. Can you survive and do those type of things before you get sick? Just different silly things like that. Otherwise, you can go on a scavenger hunt for characters, or you can go on a treasure hunt. I don't know if you knew this or not. Go to the mayor's office in Main Street, USA. Immediately after you enter the park, you turn off to the left, and you'll see the mayor's office. They can actually give you a map for a scavenger hunt throughout Disneyland. A lot of people don't know that's there. It's free. Check it out. Try new things. And if nothing else, go explore Tom Sawyer's Island. Is that still what we're calling it, Tom Sawyer's Island? I'm calling it Tom Sawyer's Island. Go check out Tom Sawyer's Island. Tons of stuff inside of the hidden pirate cove that you probably didn't know existed, and lots of adventures to be had there. So check those type of things out, and goodness sake, eat some new food. That always makes the trip better, doesn't it? Good question. Great question. Where is the Mexican Food Cafe, and do both parks have one? From Charla. Thank you so much for asking. The Mexican Food Cafe is one of our favorite places to eat. We must go there at least once every single trip. Must do. We go to the Mexican Food Cafe that's in Disneyland every single visit. It's right outside of the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad in Frontierland there. Frontierland and Adventureland, right where those kind of meet, is right where that's going to be. You'll find it right off the entrance. If you are entering the land, it's going to be on your right. If you are exiting Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, you actually saw it as you came back into the station, and then you exit Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, make a left, and it's right there on the side. Self-serve, quick service, so lots of tables, just basically a buffet style to grab what it is that you want. Make sure you get one of their enchiladas and a refillable soda. And that gets to the second part of your question. Do both parks have one? Technically, yes. Disney California Adventure also has a Mexican Food Cafe. The food is largely similar. You'll find it in the Pacific Wharf area. However, Disney California Adventure, you cannot refill your drink. Go to Disneyland. Check that out. Good question. Love some Mexican food. And getting back to that real quick, that is where Doritos were invented by accident. Fun little history nod. I don't know what that word was supposed to be. Fun little history nod for you. Ravi is asking again, where are the best photo opportunities in Disneyland or Disney California Adventure? I love this question. Last time we went was in November, right at the beginning of November, where they were tearing down the Halloween adventures and just starting the Christmas thing, so it's kind of in between. Crowds were pretty light, and so we had a lot of the park to ourselves, which gave us lots of time to explore areas we usually didn't have time for before. So, best photo opportunities. Let's start with California Adventure. Head off to Cars Land, where it is you're going to run and bolt to as soon as the park opens anyway, because you want to get to that Radiator Springs Racers. Everybody wants the Cars ride, and you want to get there first, because you do not want to stand in that line. As you exit the Radiator Springs Racers, go straight instead of turning, and you'll find an amazing decorated wall. Fantastic mural up there on that wall. Get some family photos and thoroughly enjoy that. If we're talking about painted walls in Disney California Adventure, of course, right at the end of the main Hollywood Boulevard Street, that may be the wrong word, and I'm going to get some people upset with me for that. But right at the end of the main street, of course, is the big fake landscape wall that you can stand in front of. Big photo op there. There's also some hidden photos there, so if you get a Disneyland photographer, they can add in some extra magic in that spot for you. And then finally, I like standing right outside of the Little Mermaid Cafe, the Little Mermaid ride, I should say. you can actually see the whole boardwalk and everything right there on the pier. Have the beautiful Pixar Pal Around Ferris wheel in the background, and have the whole lake out there. It's one of my favorite places to take the best photos at California Adventure. In Disneyland, there's a couple of spots that I really enjoy. We already mentioned Tom Sawyer's Island. Go and get a ton of pictures on Tom Sawyer's Island, because you're going to have such a different photo album from anybody else who goes to the park. You're going to love it. I like having a photo right in front of the Small World ride, especially at night at holiday time if you can get there when it's all lit up with Christmas lights. Otherwise, during the day, it's just absolutely magical. Time your photo to make sure that the clock is open and the little characters are out dancing around. Little extra flair for your photo if you can time it right. And then also in Disneyland, if we're talking about photo opportunities, I am going to be remiss and terribly negligent in my job if I don't tell you to go down Main Street, USA. As you're facing the castle, make a right turn down Center Street. I think it's Center Street. And at the end of Center Street, you are going to find a very weird-looking brick wall with a fountain, drinking fountain in it. And you'll see the left half of the brick wall looks a little different than the right half of the brick wall. And that's because they were testing what they wanted the brick walls to look like in Disneyland. And they didn't have time to fix it, and in history, they just never have. So take a picture at the fun, messed up brick wall right there on Main Street, USA. Lots of fun. And check out those bricks. It's pretty cool. So, great question. When is the best time to get beignets? The line is always too long from Megan. Megan was actually on our 60-second recollection. I will try to put a link to that in the description down below, and maybe a title card if you're watching this video not live. I'll make sure to add that in a minute. But Megan's favorite thing to do in Disneyland, one of her favorite things, because she's a foodie, is to eat those beignets at Disneyland. So as far as the best time to get them, there's not one. It's awful. In Disneyland, you are going to find these, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments if I'm wrong on this, but I think it's only at the Mint Julep Cafe. It's not the name of it, but it's the Mint Julep. It's the place that sells mint juleps in New Orleans Square. Is where you're going to find those, get a bag full, and get going. The line's always going to be long. Those things are wildly popular, and I'm pretty sure that's the only place in the park you can get them. But they have opened up a mobile ordering station, so get that Disneyland app, order it up on your way there, as you're not actually there yet. And then when you arrive, go pick it up at the window, no wait. And laugh at all those people who are waiting because they didn't watch Ride the Teacups. So check that out. Otherwise, you can also try to check out the Jazz Kitchen in the downtown Disney Square area. Not at breakfast time. There'd be less of a line. You'd be able to get a hold of them because they have them all day long in the Jazz Kitchen. Those lines do get really, really long. What scary rides should young kids avoid? This question is actually one of the reasons why Ride the Teacups exists, so thank you, Wendy, for asking this. Our family went with my son, who was 3 at the time, and our 3-month-old at the time, and we weren't really sure what was age appropriate for them. And my wife and I, we grew up in Disneyland, if you know our history. We went there all the time, and we didn't have the answer to that question, and it was kind of scary trying to figure out what it is we should be doing versus not be doing, because we want our kids to love Disneyland for lifetime, just like we do. So we actually got in with some teacher friends of ours who work with young kids specifically and have good answers to this one. So first off, Pinocchio. Stay away from Pinocchio. Don't go anywhere near it if you've got young kids. If you want scary, getting eaten by a whale after that very, very loud, very scary music comes out, it's kind of terrifying, and we didn't even try it. We've heard from some people that Snow White is kind of borderline. We ended up going on Snow White. They did fine, didn't have any issues. I know that some other people with young kids, they went on Snow White, and like that was the end of the trip. Like, let's go home. I don't care. I'm out. So you know your kids better than I know your kids. Snow White's kind of borderline. And so those are two as far as scariness that I would definitely avoid. The Haunted Mansion, which you'd think would be on a list of scary rides, my 3-year-old was thrilled and super excited to go on Haunted Mansion before we went. We had him watch videos on YouTube of walkthroughs and things, so we kind of get an idea of, one, so he could know what to expect, and two, we would know which ones he was excited to go on. He was incredibly excited for Haunted Mansion and absolutely loved every minute of it. So try that out. By the intro is kind of scary, but the actual scenes of kind of go over their head. They don't really, young kids are not going to understand that. And by the time you get to the end, you've got the singing busts with the grim greeting ghosts and all of the cool things happening in the graveyard. And then, the hitchhiking ghosts that are sitting there in your buggy with you. It ends up fun, and so they're likely, I don't want to promise you anything, but they're probably not going to be terribly scared at that point for you. So Haunted Mansion's probably fine. And then as a fun note, or a very strange note, I guess, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is a ride in Fantasyland. At the end of the ride, you end up dying and going to H-E double hockey sticks in that ride. And that's how the ride ends. Our kids loved it, thought it was great, wanted to go again and again and again. I guess didn't understand what was happening, and that's fine with us. But that might be totally fine for you as well. So check that out too. But great question. We want to make sure your kids are safe, not terrified of Disneyland, and enjoying every little bit. So hopefully that gives you at least a little bit of a starting point for that. So good question. Ravi is asking, what is the best way to get discounted tickets to Disneyland if they exist? Ravi, I have good news for you. They exist. So never, ever, ever pay full price for Disneyland tickets. We all see the news story. Disneyland tickets are going up. It's $200 a person a day to go. Like, no, it's not. It's not $200 per person per day to go. That can sometimes be the cost of a single day, single person, not bought in advance ticket to both parks, which hopefully 0 people are buying. It's like buying a car. Never pay sticker price. Traditionally, we have been able to go through Costco. We have a Costco membership. They have a travel plan there and have a lot of different packages and things that can go. That's ended up saving us a lot of money. If you are a family member who you love dearly, are a member of the military, you can actually get in at a significantly discounted price. Generally, they have once a year a time. I think it's once a year. Maybe it's not once a year. Look it up. Check out Disneyland. Their military rates. They have very, very special deals for military members. They are very, very good to men and women in uniform in the armed forces. So check that out. And then also, if you've watched our channel with any regularity whatsoever, you've seen us rant and rave about one of my favorite Disney channels, Disney YouTube channels. Excuse me, the Provost Park Pass, and they use Getaway Today, which is a travel agency. We asked them very specifically if there are discounts and how they compare to exactly like Costco. They said they will beat Costco's price every time. We're going to try them out. Next trip, we're going to use Getaway Today. We'll let you know, but try that out. And if you do, tell them that it's me, right? But I'm not affiliated with Getaway Today. But do tell them Provost Park Pass guys sent you over there because they referred me, and I'll let you know, and hopefully that'll work somehow. But try it out. Let us know how it goes for you, if you can get some discounts that way. But yeah, never pay sticker price for Disneyland tickets. Great question. Thank you for asking that. Hopefully everybody knows now. All right, and Dana says, I can't think of any questions, but we save our change in a jar, and that becomes our souvenir money. What a fantastic budgeting idea, Dana. Thank you for sharing that with us. One of the big things that we understand is that Disneyland is expensive, and it gets very hard to spend money for the food all the days and for the souvenirs all the days and all the other things that need to happen in the parks. That's a great way to budget. And just have that money in a jar for your souvenirs. Some of the other things that we suggest, if you have a budget set aside earlier that's not just a glass jar of money, especially with your kids, consider getting them a pre-bought Disney gift card. You can get those at the Disney store, probably in your local mall. If you don't have that, you can get them online at shopdisney.com, or even we have them at our grocery store in their gift card aisle. And just get a gift card with a certain amount of money on it and give that to your kids. And that's their spending money. They can get their souvenirs, their sweet treats or whatever beyond what it is you normally get them. They have a budget. They'll keep track of it, and they can't go over it because it's a gift card. Just make sure to keep that safe and secure for them. But what a great budgeting idea, Dana. Thank you for sharing that with us. Is there a day, time of day, or time of the year when the parks are less crowded? What a popular question. Like I said, we went in November in between the changeover between Halloween decorations and Christmas decorations. That worked out really well for us, actually. We missed a couple of things. So, for example, Small World was shut down because they were setting up their Christmas decorations, and that is extensive. It takes them a full week to get that set up. So we missed out on that. We had some of the Christmas decorations set up, some of the castle lit up and the lights, but the grand lighting where they throw everything on, we missed that completely. So we didn't get to see that. Also, they stopped doing the fireworks the day we arrived. So we missed all of the Disney fireworks. Sad face. But that's okay. Ultimately, just the lack of crowds really made up for that very, very well. So very happy with just that time, generally first week in November, where they're getting rid of the Halloween things, transferring over to Main Street. If you don't mind missing some things, that is a great way to avoid some crowds. Beyond that, we actually really like going, this will be our next trip very likely, sometimes generally beginning part of the year, February, early March, if you can arrange that time frame for you. So that's before the spring breakers get there. That's after all the holiday people have gotten all of their stuff out of the way. Generally, that's an off season, if that term even still exists for Disneyland, where they're generally fixing up rides. You are going to have things shut down. You are going to see those construction walls up. And you'll miss a couple of staples, but the other thing you're going to miss is the huge shoulder-to-shoulder crowds. So generally check that out as far as the time of the year to go. As far as days, of course, if you can go during the weekdays instead of the weekends, the closer you can get to the middle of the week, especially during school days, that's going to help you a bit. And then my door is opening. And then as far as time of day, that is a very good question. So, turns out some people like to sleep in. I don't understand those people when I'm at Disneyland. Get me there and get me there now. I will camp outside your front gate if you would let me. They don't let me, but, get there right at rope drop. If you're staying at the Disney hotels, you can actually get into one of the parks an hour early. It's called the Magic Hours. Take advantage, be there, and do it exactly an hour on the dot. You'll just show them your room key. At the time I'm making this video, check out that may have changed. But get in those magic hours, get in as soon as it's there. If you're not staying at a Disney hotel, get in as soon as you can and go right at rope drop. Don't show up at the gate on opening time. Get there like half an hour-ish early. They'll actually let you into the park, and you can go like up and down Main Street. You can go into all the shops and do your shopping. And then when it's actually opening time, they'll drop the rope, let you into the park. You're halfway to whatever ride it is you wanted to go to anyway, and get there right then and there because you've beat all the people who've slept in. Beyond that, since Ride the Teacups is for families with kids, stay late. Stay late at the park if you can. Leave during like lunchtime, go take a nap or whatever at your hotel and come back because you don't want to be leaving the park early because of kids' bedtimes. Get those kids rested up in the middle of the day so they've got another spurt of energy to really spur you on. The reason is because you are going to be the only one with young kids doing that. So at the end of the day, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock rolls around. Everybody with those 2, 3, 4-year-olds are leaving. They are gone. Back to the hotel. That's all their kids could take. And all of those rides that your kids want to go on don't have a line anymore. Except Peter Pan. That's always got a line. You'll always wait 2 hours for an hour or two for Peter Pan. But But yeah, get them in. Stay late after the other families with kids have gone home. You've got it all to yourself. Last time we were there, our 3-year-old went on the teacups over and 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 over again until he ran out of adults that would spin with him again. And then he met to Dumbo, where he got on every other ride. Literally every other time around, my kid was on it on Dumbo. That's amazing. Also happened to be on a weekday. So yes, the very beginning of park, very end of park. Try to check out around springtime is our favorite, or in between the holidays when they're transferring, and Wednesday. Good question. What is the least amount of time you'd recommend planning a trip so we're not rushed? So I'm not exactly sure of your question on this one. There could be a couple of things, so let me sit back up here and try to get this. So as far as time planning a trip so that you're not rushed planning, I like planning a Disney trip. I would say if you're not a regular, you're not asking me this question, right? If you're not a regular at Disneyland attender, and especially if you're going with kids, go at least 6 months out and maybe a year. Get those things booked as far as you possibly can in advance, and start working on things like souvenirs and those other type of things early if you can. So different things like t-shirts often go on sale. You can get those ahead of time, save a lot of money from the parks. You can get other things like your pins. You can get all kinds of things. If you happen to have a Disney outlet store near you, not the Disney store, the Disney outlet store. We're going to have a video about the difference between those two coming up in the near future as well. The Disney outlet store, you can actually get your Disneyland branded clothes and t-shirts and things, not just the Disney one, but the Disneyland Resort branded apparel at wild discounts. You can also get your ears ahead of time at the Disney outlet store. Very much recommend that. I thoroughly enjoy that. Got my getting busy getting dizzy. I had to look at it there. Busy getting dizzy hat. Love this thing. Disney outlet store. It should be a Disneyland exclusive, but instead I picked it up for a couple bucks. Thoroughly enjoyed that. But if you are talking about the actual time you spend in the park, not planning for the trip and how much time you want to be there so that you can see everything without being rushed, I generally don't recommend people spend less than 3 days in Disneyland if you can afford it. And if you can't afford it, I actually suggest you wait and save for another year or two until you can. The 3-day pass is generally where you're going to get your biggest discounts, or where your discounts are really going to drop and start up for your tickets. And be there for 3 days. You can generally get one solid day in the Magic Kingdom. You can, depending on who you are, Disney California Adventure is kind of a different animal. Different things for different people. And you can usually get a full day out of Disney California Adventure, and then your third day you can bounce between the two, or you could even spend another full day in Magic Kingdom if you really want to. Last time we went on the 3-day park hopper with 2 young kids, and we hit, I think, just about everything that we wanted to. Like I said, Small World was closed. A couple of staples that we didn't hit that we normally would have, but it wasn't for lack of time. It was because somebody wanted to go on the teacups 8 times in a row. What you gonna do, folks? What you gonna do? There's a reason this program is called Ride the Teacups. That's it. But yeah, I'd suggest a 3-day park hopper if you can afford it, and I would suggest, as far as planning, 6 months to a year out, and just get that started. Really help you out. Make some checklists. Charlie is asking, which park is the best if you have children under 6? I would start off by covering myself and saying that different parks have, different pros and cons. The Disney California Adventure has the cool adventure park, which is basically just a big obstacle course, like ropes course, playground, Disney playground. Like, that's awesome. that sits there. They have things like the Little Mermaid ride, which, let's be honest, the real appeal of that is going under the sea and having the big musical number that sits there in that big huge room, which is amazing. They are going soon to have all of the different Marvel things, lots of Toy Story throughout the park. By the time we're doing this, Jesse's Critter Carousel just opened, so they've got a new mini merry-go-round on the back of the boardwalk. And, you know, things like the Mater's Jamboree and everything with the new Marvel Land should be lots of fun. And with that said, go to Disneyland and not DCA. You cannot beat Fantasyland for kids under 6. You could stay just on the land all day, every day, and they would be thoroughly happy, as we have discussed ad nauseum. Speaking of nausea, don't spin around on the teacups that many times in a row. But you could do that very, very easily. On top of that, you throw in things like the Tarzan Treehouse. It's the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. The Tarzan Treehouse that's there. Everything you can do on Tom Sawyer's Island to let them run around and just burn off all that energy as fast as they possibly can. Definitely check out Tom Sawyer's Island with very young kids. And all those other things they have. Let them live in Toontown for a while. And just go absolutely nuts. So yeah, Disneyland. That's the right answer. Good question. What are some rides older teenagers would enjoy? So now I'm going to flip that script a little bit. So this is where I cover myself and say Disneyland has some awesome rides for teenagers. You are going to enter Disneyland and immediately bolt for Space Mountain on the right, or you are going to go in and bolt immediately for Indiana Jones on the left. You're going to do one of those two things if you've got older kids that enjoy good rides, because that's amazing. You also have things like the Mountain Challenge. We mentioned that earlier, so make sure you hit your Space Mountain, Matterhorn, Big Thunder Mountain, and then Splash Mountain, in that order, by the way. You can swap Splash Mountain and Big Thunder based on the route that you take. Anyway, I'll get into that later. But you have the Mountain Challenge, which is just outstanding for those older kids. All those aimed right at them. Star Tours, of course, the new Galaxy's Edge just opened up for all of your Star Wars fans. Just immerse yourself beyond the actual rides. Rise of the Resistance is supposed to be the greatest thing ever. Haven't been on it yet. We're working on it. But it's supposed to be the best thing ever. A little bit of everything inside of that ride. Of course, you get to pilot the Millennium Falcon in the Smuggler's Run that's there. So lots of stuff for your older teenagers to do. Now that I've covered myself, go to Disneyland California Adventure instead. When you enter the park, go down Buena Vista Street, immediately make a left, and bolt for Cars Land as fast as you possibly can. And make sure you hit Radiator Springs Racers. And then while you're on it, get on the app and book your Fast Pass for the next time you're going to Radiator Springs Racers, because you're not going to want to do that just once. Once you're done with that, cut across behind Flo's and go over to the boardwalk so that you can do things like the Incredicoaster that sits right there, Toy Story Mania, especially with your friends and parents. Practice that if you possibly can and beat your kids' high scores, and never let them live it down ever. And then beyond that, for your older teenagers, get on the Pixar Pal Around Ferris wheel and make sure you go on one of the motion cars, because that's absolutely insane. You can even go to like Goofy's Sky School, which is supposed to be for younger kids. It's just a little, a mouse coaster, one of the flat coasters. Absolutely terrifying. And make sure you try that out and hit those. But yeah, and then your Grizzly River Rapids, which is going to be, I don't like comparing it to Splash Mountain because they're two different animals, but they're big water-based mountains where you get soaked, so it's hard not to compare. It's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. Lots of spinning. Make sure you enjoy the spinning. So much for your older kids to do in California Adventure if they're more thrill seekers, and that's long before you even get to the, I was about to call it Tower of Terror. Pardon me, forgive me. Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, where you just do the big whoo, drop in your elevator all the way down to everything else. And then as Marvel Land opens up, whatever, I don't know what they're, don't be upset with me, they haven't named it yet as far as I know, the new land they're creating in California Adventure for Marvel characters. You can do that as well, and that's undoubtedly going to be great for your teenagers. So check that out. California Adventure is the answer to that question. And then, as I'm getting to our last question, if you have questions, we have our live chat that's still open. Jump in, grab one. Otherwise, you can email us again, ridetheteacups@gmail.com. Leave a question down here in the comments, or visit us on Facebook. We are going to do this again and have lots of fun. So thanks so much for participating. The last question that we have comes from Wendy. How can I make the trip without killing my kids along the way? You can't. Thanks so much for joining. No, I'm kidding. So there's a lot of ways that you're gonna. That's the trick, right? Disneyland is fun. It's a great adventure, but you have to get there first. And for some of us, like it's a 5.5, 6 hour drive to Disneyland for me and my family. And again, my kids are very young. Not generally a very pleasant experience, right? Excuse me. Joys of doing a live video. I would have loved to edit that out. Anyway, getting there is one thing. Our solution to that was we left at 2 in the morning. Packed them up. They slept most of the way. We stopped for a restroom and breakfast break along the way, and that was it. And they slept most of the way. Really helped us survive. Never underestimate the power of an iPad or other tablet loaded with tons and tons of movies and TV shows for them to be able to consume. Make sure they're downloaded, because when you're actually on the plane or on the drive, you're not going to have the Wi-Fi with you, and a lot of different services let you download those videos specifically so you can watch them on the go on a trip. And then beyond that, the old man in me wants to also point out you can get, if you don't want to bother with screen time and you can't leave at 2 in the morning and make that drive for your day trip, there are still, I still see them, the different board games that you can get that are magnetic. They open and close, so that they hold all the pieces inside. All the pieces have magnetic bases on them, so they actually stick to the magnetic board, and you can actually play your board games. I never take a trip anywhere without a deck of cards, specifically to handle that. Otherwise, a good pair of earmuffs and some duct tape to keep them quiet so that you can't hear them. So best of luck with that, Wendy. But those are some of my best tricks. So thank you all so much for watching. That is our final question for the day. Again, you can always submit more. Thanks for being with us. Make sure you go ride the teacups. I gotta figure out how to stop this stream. There's the button. Thanks.